Hey everyone, just going to make you aware of what's going on today. Comics Experiment has been filmed, but we had the opportunity to go down and do an interview with the cast and crew of the Morbius Junket. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that Dan does these interviews, and Dan did a bunch of great interviews for Morbius. So we're going to cut to him doing these interviews for this week's Comics Experiment. Hope you guys enjoy.
I just wanted to start off by saying I'm very excited to talk with you today, Jared. You did a fantastic job as Morbius. I'm a big fan of your music, so I'm very excited.
Did someone ask you to say that? Did they get on with you before? And make sure you tell them that.
No, I'm actually shaking over here from the nerves because I am a big fan.
You're very kind. I appreciate that. And I love the halo behind your head. I don't know what it is, but you have this beautiful geometric shape back there.
Oh, well, thank you. So I wanted to first start off by asking, prior to your films, what kind of history with comic books have you had?
Well, it's a great question. When I was a kid, a friend of the family kind of gave me my brother and I, a big box of comics. And there was every kind of comic in there. I wish if I had that box, I could probably just retire these days. Yeah, because today, but because it was just filled with all of these different comic books, like basically everyone that you could imagine. And you go through and you respond to some, and you respond and don't respond to others. But that was it. I mean, I was an artist as well. I mean, I loved comics and I loved art, and I was a visual artist when I was younger, and so I responded to the visual side of it as well.
Were there any favorites that you had in that big collection?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I really there was an obscure one that I found by Crumb. The artist Crumb. Have you heard of Crumb?
I have not actually.
There's a really fascinating documentary made about this guy too. But he made these kind of counterculture comics, and back in the day, and I really responded to those. But other than that, I loved all of I loved them all.
All right. So what kind of preparation did you do for this role? Did you read the Morbius comics or anything like that?
Yeah, I did. And the good thing about this, first of all, to be able to bring Morbius to the big screen for the very first time is incredible. What an honor. And I'm excited for people to meet Morbius for the very first time on April 1st in theaters. That's a really fun thing to think about. People sitting in a, cold, dark room with the popcorn and a bag of Sour Patch Kids, and just go to town. And it's a big fun movie. It's on the darker side of the universe. I love that as well. And I just feel really grateful, to be honest. I feel really, really grateful to have had this opportunity. It was perfectly tailored for me as being an actor who's interested in transformation. There are really 3 different roles within the same character. And I really like that a lot.
So since Morbius was first introduced in the comics in an Amazing Spider-Man comic, I was wondering if there are any of the Spider-Man actors that you would really like to work with if given the chance.
I think, look, it's funny. I watch UFC fights, right? I'm into the UFC. I think when I was a kid, I used to fight a bit, but and they say, when someone's talking about fights, they say, oh, that it has to happen. And I feel like, Morbius and Spider-Man, in some ways, it has to happen. I don't know how, when, or why, but it has to happen. Yeah.
Any of the particular big 3 that you're kind of like, oh, I'd really like to fight that one?
I think that Tom Holland, his Spider-Man is just, they're all great, and they're such great actors, all 3. But Tom is just so, what he's doing is really compelling, and it's really hitting a nerve. And I think that, these are kind of both new chapters. Morbius is a new chapter. Spider-Man's a new chapter in the Marvel universe. So it'd be pretty fitting to see, friends or foes. I don't know. But yeah, it'd be great to get in the ring.
Well, thank you so much for talking with me today.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Thanks for the kind words.
You have a great day.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you so much for chatting with me today. I loved your performance in the film. Very excited to talk with you.
Yeah, it's my absolute pleasure. Thank you for taking the time.
So I just wanted to start off. So what kind of experience with comic books did you have before taking this role?
Not a great one, to be honest. Not a great one. Not an in-depth experience. I'm not a comic book aficionado. I think the only comic book I own, that brilliant Batman comic by Alan Moore. You know, because he's from where I'm from. He's from Northampton. We're from the same town. I used to see him like in town having a walk and stuff and taking in with big, massive Northampton aficionados. So I'm very proud that I've got a connection to comic bookness through Alan Moore. But I also own something called the Beano, which do you know the Beano? Do you know what the Beano is?
I do not, actually.
No, well, yeah. Anyway, that was a comic book back when I was a child, which was many moons ago. But that is about it, really.
Okay. So in that case, how did you prepare for this role and kind of get into that villainous mindset?
Oh, well, you know, I mean, you start with the script, don't you? And of course, you look into the history of the world, into the history of Morbius, like any piece of literature, I suppose, and take what you can. But I really had to take the script as I found it, you know, and the characters that Matt had sort of written, really, and created. And, you know, I worked with the director and did all the usual stuff, spent a lot of time trying to find something other in me.
All right.
I suppose, yeah.
So what was your favorite scene to film in this movie?
Oh, that's a very good question. What was my favorite scene to film in this movie? Do you know, there was a scene in one of the train stations, which we actually shot in London, which is sort of doubling up as a tube station in New York City. And after it, there were sort of 4 cops laid on the floor. And I sort of had this idea, maybe I sort of danced around them with a gun. And that wasn't in the script. We just, you know, he was so great like that, actually. Daniel, the director, he let things flow and he let you try things out and he let you play and explore around the script. And for a movie of that size, it was really commendable. So I think probably that, because I got to have a bit of fun with it.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
And then, so you're now the 3rd Doctor to actually play a villain in the Marvel movies. And I just wanted to ask, what do you think makes the Doctors so great at being villains?
Well, I think having all been the sort of everyman hero, we're desperate to go and do something villainous. So you had Chris, obviously, in Thor, David in what was it in the TV show?
Jessica Jones.
Yeah, Jessica Jones. God, he was fabulous in that. Yeah, and me in this, I don't know. I think it's probably a sort of compulsion to do something completely separate and completely other.
All right. And then my last question, what was your favorite behind the scenes moment?
Oh gosh, what was my favorite behind the scenes moment on this? It's, you know, what's mad about this is I probably should have had a real think about it, because we shot this like 2 years ago, yonks ago. I guess it was lovely to be in London, and it was sort of fascinating to see London double up as New York, really, because I just didn't know how it was going to work, or if it was going to work. But I can't remember any really sort of mad behind the scenes moments. I'll have to have a think and get back to you. Sorry, I know it's a terrible answer.
I'm very okay if you get back to me with that. I'd love to chat with you again sometime. So,
yeah, I'm sure we will.
Well, thank you so much for talking with me today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for your time, my friend. Have a good day.
You as well.
Bye now.
Thank you guys both so much for spending some time to chat about such an amazing film.
Thank you.
My first question actually extends to both of you. And I was wondering, what kind of experience with comic books did you have prior to this film?
I've been a fan of comic books, you know, for a long time. I also have a younger brother, so it was a way that we can sort of connect and play together. And I think I've played every superhero in the world with him. So I think that was like my first real interaction. And then obviously watching the movies, but reading the comics was definitely having a younger brother to sort of read them too.
I started reading comics a lot when I was very young. I went into a hospital and had to stay there for quite some time, and then the only thing I could get was the comic books. So they were like my best friends for some years. And then when I got bullied when I was 12, they were like my compatriots. And when I was 15, when I was supposed to quit, I did not quit. I kept on going strong. When I got my first salary, I bought some more comic books. So, it's along that line.
Well, since both of you have had a lot of experience with comic books, do you have any favorites?
I mean, I think Morbius, right?
Yeah,
There's I think Martine Bancroft and Morbius, just because it's the theme of the day, and I just really like them. And I feel like if I say another one, I feel like I'm gonna be cheating on them, and it's just not.
I dig, Daredevil. I always had like a big crush on Daredevil.
Really?
I did, and Frank Miller's the Daredevil is, really changed my life. Like most Frank Miller's work did for my generation. When they came out in the 80s, it was life changing for most of us.
All right. And this one's for you, Daniel. So there were a lot of delays in the release date for this movie. Were there any reshoots or reworks that you had to do because of it?
Yeah, I mean, we just never stopped. It was more, that they just said you have a bit more time, and with those visual effects, you can always, do things more interesting or, add layers to it. So I think we were all like, in reality, we were all a bit grateful to get more time, and you ask any director, I mean, if we were allowed to sit in editorial for 3 years, we will sit in editorial for 3 years, and if we're allowed to go out and tweak something and do something extra, it's just, I mean, that's part of making movies, so I was actually, really happy about it. I mean, it was a horrible time for the world, but I was happy to get more time.
All right. And then Adria, what was your favorite your favorite scene to film during this?
Oh, there was a lot of them. I think that hospital scene was really fun. I feel like we sort of mentioned it, but it was a scene where it was Daniel, Tyrese, Al, Madrigal, myself, and it was just really cool and different to see, a Latin American and European director, and Tyrese Gibson, African American, Al's second generation Latin American, and myself, Latin American woman, all in one room. And we definitely had a moment there. I think my scene with Matt was
Magnificent.
Was so much fun to do and to play with. I think he's such an unexpected actor. You kind of don't know what he's ever gonna do, and it sort of keeps you on your toes, and it's amazing to work with him. He's so beyond talented. So I think those two.
All right. And then that looks like that is all the time I've got. Thank you both so much for talking with me.
Thank you
so much.
so much.
Thank you so much.